Chidi wasn't like other 10-year-old boys in the village of Umuofia. While other kids had smooth skin, Chidi's skin was rough and scaly, just like a lizard's. Every morning, when he got out of bed, little pieces of his dry skin would fall off and scatter on the floor, leaving a trail wherever he walked. His mother had to sweep these pieces up every day. One morning, Chidi woke up early to help his father in their small yam farm. As he walked through the village to reach the farm, he could feel people's eyes following him. Some mothers quickly pulled their children away when they saw him coming. Others pointed and whispered behind their hands. A group of boys playing soccer stopped their game to stare at him. "Look, it's Igwekala!" one of the boys shouted, using the mean nickname they had given him, which meant lizard boy in their language. They laughed and moved away from him, as if his rough skin was something they could catch like a cold. But Chidi kept walking, holding his head high. He had learned to be brave, even when people were mean to him. His father, Mezi Okonkwo, had taught him that what was inside a person's heart mattered more than how they looked on the outside. At the farm, Chidi worked hard alongside his father. They dug the earth with their hoes, planted yam seeds, and pulled out weeds under the hot sun. Even though the work was hard, Chidi liked being there because his father never made him feel different. They talked and laughed as they worked, and his father told him stories about their ancestors. Later that day, Chidi went to help his mother, Adaku, at the village market where she sold vegetables. The market was always busy and noisy, full of people buying and selling things. As Chidi helped his mother arrange her vegetables, he could hear people whispering and see them pointing at him. "Poor Adaku," one woman said to another, loud enough for Chidi to hear. "How will her son ever find work when he grows up? Who would want to buy anything from someone who looks like that?" Chidi's mother heard them too. She stood up straight and looked right at the women. "My son is the kindest and hardest working boy in this village," she said proudly. "And he helps me sell more vegetables than anyone else here." That night, after they had eaten their dinner of yam and vegetable soup, Chidi's mother did what she always did before he went to bed. She took out a container of shea butter and carefully rubbed it all over his rough skin. She had been doing this every night since he was a baby, hoping it would make his skin softer. "Maybe we should try the new medicine the herbalist made," his father said, watching them. The herbalist was an old man who lived at the edge of the village and made medicines from plants and herbs. He had already given them many different treatments, bitter drinks made from leaves, special soaps, and oils that smelled strange. Nothing had worked so far, but they never stopped trying. "It doesn't matter if nothing works," Chidi's mother said, finishing with the shea butter. "You are our son, and we love you exactly as you are." That night, as Chidi lay in his bed, he could hear his parents talking in low voices about him. They were worried about his future. Would he be able to make friends? Would he find a job? Would people always treat him differently because of his skin? But Chidi wasn't worried. He knew he was different, but he also knew he was strong. His skin might look like a lizard's, but his heart was full of courage. And tomorrow would be another day to prove to everyone that he was more than just his rough, scaly skin. Every morning, while other children walked into the village school wearing their neat uniforms, Chidi would find his special spot under the big mango tree outside. The tree was perfect. It was close enough to hear everything the teacher said, but far enough that the students couldn't tease him during their lessons. Chidi's parents wanted to send him to school more than anything, but they simply didn't have enough money. His father's yam farm barely made enough to feed them, and his mother's vegetable sales in the market only covered their basic needs. But Chidi didn't let this stop him from learning. He had created his own little classroom under the mango tree. He used sticks to write in the dirt, copying down the math problems he heard the teacher explaining. When the wind blew ripe mangoes down from the tree, he would count them and divide them into groups, practicing his multiplication and division. During English lessons, he would mouth the new words quietly to himself, memorizing how they sounded. One particularly hot Thursday afternoon, while Chidi was solving a difficult math problem in the dirt, a shadow fell over his work. He looked up to see a very important-looking man standing over him. The man wore an expensive agbada, a flowing robe made of the finest fabric Chidi had ever seen. This was Chief Ikemba, the richest person anyone knew. He owned 3 big houses, many farms, and even had a car, which was rare in their village. "Boy!" Chief Ikemba's voice boomed like thunder. "What are you doing out here in the heat?" Chidi quickly jumped to his feet and bowed low, as everyone did when they met the chief. Some of his dry skin flaked off as he moved, but he tried not to feel embarrassed about it. "Good afternoon, sir," Chidi said respectfully. "I am listening to Teacher Nwosu's lessons." Chief Ikemba frowned, looking from Chidi to the school building and back again. "Why aren't you inside with the other children? School is not meant to be attended from under a tree." Chidi stood straight and looked directly at the chief. He wasn't ashamed of being poor. "My parents cannot pay the school fees, sir. But I still want to learn, so I listen from here." The chief walked closer and looked down at the math problems Chidi had drawn in the dirt. They were the same complex problems the teacher was explaining to the class inside. "Did you solve these yourself?" Chief Ikemba asked, pointing at the calculations. "Yes, sir," Chidi answered. "I love mathematics. I solved them while listening to Teacher Nwosu explain them to the class." Chief Ikemba's expression changed. He knelt down, not caring that his expensive agbada might get dirty, and checked Chidi's work carefully. All the answers were correct. "What's your name, boy?" he asked, his voice softer now. "Chidi, sir. My father is Mazi Okonkwo, the yam farmer." "Ah, Okonkwo's son?" Chief Ikemba nodded. He had heard about the boy with the lizard skin. Everyone in the village had. But now he was seeing something different. Not a boy with a strange condition, but a child with an extraordinary mind. "Come with me, Chidi," Chief Ikemba said, standing up and brushing the dirt from his clothes. "Where are we going, sir?" Chidi asked, nervous but excited. "To the school," Chief Ikemba replied. "It's time you had a proper place to learn." As they walked toward the school building, other children who were playing outside stopped and stared. It was a strange sight. The richest man in 3 villages walking side by side with the boy they called Igwekala. Some of them rubbed their eyes, thinking they were seeing things. Chief Ikemba walked straight to the headmaster's office, with Chidi following close behind. Inside, the headmaster jumped up from his chair when he saw the chief enter. "Chief Ikemba! What an honor! How may I help you today?" the headmaster asked, bowing repeatedly. "I want this boy enrolled in your school immediately," Chief Ikemba declared, placing his hand on Chidi's shoulder. "I will pay his fees, buy his uniforms, and provide all his books." The headmaster's mouth fell open in surprise, but he quickly closed it and nodded. Yes, of course, Chief. We will enroll him right away." That day changed everything for Chidi. As he walked home later, clutching the list of things he would need for school, he could hardly believe what had happened. He ran all the way home to tell his parents the amazing news, leaving a trail of happy skin flakes behind him. The next Monday morning was both exciting and scary for Chidi. He put on his brand new school uniform, a clean white shirt, and brown shorts that Chief Ikemba had bought for him. His mother had tears in her eyes as she helped him get ready, smoothing down his collar and making sure his shorts weren't too loose. When Chidi walked into the classroom for the first time, everyone went quiet. The children who usually played and chatted before class all stopped and stared. Some of them whispered to each other, and others moved their desks slightly away from where he was supposed to sit. "Class, this is Chidi," Teacher Nwosu announced. "He will be joining us from today." The teacher pointed to an empty desk in the middle of the room. As Chidi walked to his seat, he could hear the scraping sound of other students dragging their desks away from his. A boy named Obi, who sat in front of Chidi, turned around and smirked. "Hey, Igwekala," he whispered. "Aren't you afraid your skin will get stuck to the chair?" Some other students giggled, but Chidi didn't respond. He was too excited about finally being inside a real classroom. He took out his new notebook and pencil, ready to learn. For the first time, he wouldn't have to draw in the dirt or strain to hear through the windows. During the math lesson, Teacher Nwosu wrote a difficult problem on the blackboard. "Who can solve this?" he asked. Nobody raised their hand. The problem involved multiplying 3-digit numbers, something Chidi had practiced many times under the mango tree. Slowly, Chidi raised his hand. "Yes, Chidi?" Teacher Nwosu said, looking surprised. Chidi walked to the blackboard and solved the problem step by step, just as he had done hundreds of times in the dirt. When he finished, the classroom was completely silent. Teacher Nwosu checked his work and broke into a big smile. "Perfect!" he exclaimed. "Class, this is exactly how you solve this type of problem. Well done, Chidi!" But his success only made some students dislike him more. During break time, while Chidi sat alone eating the yam his mother had packed for his lunch, Obi and his friends surrounded him. "Just because Chief Ikemba felt sorry for you doesn't mean you belong here," Obi said, crossing his arms. "No one wants to be friends with a lizard boy who shows off in class." "I wasn't showing off," Chidi said quietly. "I just answered the question." "Look!" One of Obi's friends pointed and laughed. "His skin is falling on his food." Indeed, some of Chidi's dry skin had flaked onto his yam. Chidi packed up his lunch and walked away, finding a quiet spot under a small tree in the schoolyard. But he didn't cry. Instead, he took out his math book and started studying the next chapter. Every day after school, Chidi would walk to Chief Ikemba's big house. The chief always asked him about his day and what he had learned. Chidi would excitedly tell him about the new things he discovered in each lesson. "They make fun of me," Chidi admitted one day when Chief Ikemba asked why he looked sad. "Especially Obi. He says no one will ever want to be my friend." Chief Ikemba thought for a moment before responding. "Listen carefully, Chidi. People fear what they don't understand. Your skin makes you different on the outside, but your mind makes you special on the inside. One day, they will see that." As weeks passed, Chidi's academic performance amazed everyone. He could multiply large numbers in his head, remember entire passages from their textbooks, and answer questions before anyone else had even finished reading them. Teacher Nwosu often used his work as an example for the class. During a history lesson, when Chidi correctly recited all the important events they had learned that term, Obi tried to trip him as he walked back to his seat. Chidi stumbled but didn't fall. "Teacher's pet," Obi muttered. "No one likes a know-it-all lizard." But that afternoon, something unexpected happened. A girl named Kioma asked Chidi if he could help her understand the math problems they were studying. At first, Chidi thought she was joking, but her request was genuine. "I don't understand how to solve these," she said, showing him her notebook. "Could you explain it to me?" For the first time since starting school, Chidi felt truly happy. As he helped Kioma with her math, he noticed that his skin wasn't flaking as much as usual. Maybe it was because, for once, someone at school was treating him like a normal person instead of the lizard boy. That evening, when Chidi told Chief Ikemba about helping Kioma, the chief smiled knowingly. "You see," he said, "your knowledge is already helping others. This is just the beginning, my boy. Just the beginning." As the months passed, Chidi spent more and more time at Chief Ikemba's house after school. The chief's house was huge, with shiny tiles on the floor and real glass windows instead of wooden shutters, like most houses in the village. But what Chidi loved most was the chief's study, where shelves full of books lined the walls from floor to ceiling. "Knowledge is power, my boy," Chief Ikemba would say as he taught Chidi about business. He showed Chidi how to count money properly, how to calculate profits, and how to keep track of expenses in a big ledger book. "See these numbers?" The chief would point to his business records. "Each one tells a story. Just like your teachers give you math problems, life will give you problems to solve. The smart ones learn to solve them with their heads, not their fists." One hot afternoon, during the rainy season when the air was thick and humid, Chidi was walking home from school. His bag was heavy with books, and his shirt stuck to his rough skin from the heat. He had stayed late to help Kioma with more math problems, and dark clouds were gathering in the sky, threatening rain. Suddenly, he heard screaming coming from the direction of the river. The voice was high-pitched and desperate, calling for help. Without thinking, Chidi dropped his school bag and ran toward the sound, his feet kicking up red dust behind him. When he reached the riverbank, his heart almost stopped. The usually calm river had turned into an angry brown monster because of the recent rains. The water rushed past so fast it created white foam where it hit rocks, and fallen tree branches were being swept along like tiny twigs. In the middle of this chaos was Obi, the same boy who had been bullying him all these months. Obi was thrashing in the water, trying to keep his head above the surface. He had one hand gripped on a slippery rock, but Chidi could see his fingers slipping. "Help!" Obi screamed when he saw Chidi. "Please, I can't swim in this current." Some other children stood on the riverbank, frozen in fear. They had been playing with Obi when he fell in, but none of them knew what to do. The current was too strong for any of them to swim in. Chidi looked around quickly and spotted a long branch lying nearby. He grabbed it, but it was too short to reach Obi. There was only one thing to do. Taking a deep breath, Chidi jumped into the river. The cold water hit him like a slap, and the current immediately tried to pull him under. But then, something amazing happened. His rough, scaly skin actually helped him. While the slippery river rocks were impossible for normal hands to grip, Chidi's rough skin could hold onto them like sandpaper. Using the rocks to anchor himself, Chidi moved through the water toward Obi. The current pulled at his clothes, and his eyes stung from the muddy water, but he kept going. When he finally reached Obi, the other boy's eyes were wide with fear. "Hold on to my shoulder!" Chidi shouted over the roar of the water. "Don't try to grab me anywhere else, or we'll both go under." Obi did as he was told, his teeth chattering from cold and fear. Slowly, carefully, Chidi made his way back to the riverbank, using his rough hands to grip the slippery rocks. Each movement had to be perfect. One wrong step, and the current would sweep them both away. When they finally reached the shore, other children helped pull them out. Obi collapsed on the ground, coughing up water. His friends wrapped him in their jackets, and someone ran to get help. Chidi sat on the riverbank, exhausted but okay. His uniform was soaked and muddy, and pieces of his wet skin were peeling off more than usual. But he didn't care. He had saved Obi's life. News of what happened spread through the village like wildfire. By evening, everyone knew how the boy with lizard skin had become a hero. Obi's parents came to Chidi's house with tears in their eyes, thanking him for saving their son. That night, as Chief Ikemba heard the story, he nodded with pride. "You solved this problem with both your head and your heart," he said. "You used your unique condition as a strength, not a weakness. That's what I've been trying to teach you." The next day at school, everything was different. Children who had once moved away from Chidi now wanted to sit near him. During break time, several students asked if they could eat lunch with him. Even some of Obi's friends started treating him with respect. But the biggest surprise came from Obi himself. During lunch break, he approached Chidi's desk, looking at the ground. "I'm sorry," Obi said quietly, "for everything. For calling you names, for being mean. You saved my life even after how I treated you. I don't deserve that kind of kindness." Chidi looked at his former bully and smiled. "Everyone deserves kindness," he said, "even lizard boys and bullies." From that day on, the name Igwakala was no longer used to mock Chidi. Instead, it became a kind of nickname of respect. The lizard boy had proved that being different wasn't a curse. Sometimes it could be exactly what was needed to save the day. After Chidi saved Obi from drowning, Chief Ikemba made a big announcement at the village meeting. He stood up in front of everyone and said, "I will pay for all of Chidi's school fees until he finishes university." The whole village clapped and cheered. Chief Ikemba wasn't done talking. "This boy has shown us that he is special. He is smart in his studies, and he is brave enough to save someone who was mean to him. He has the heart of a lion and the brain of a wise man." Chidi worked harder than ever at school. He was always the first person to arrive in class and the last to leave. His grades were the highest in every subject. In math, he could solve problems that even older students found hard. In science, he did experiments so well that teacher Nwosu asked him to help teach the younger children. One day, Chief Ikemba visited Chidi's class to see how he was doing. He sat at the back of the room and watched as Chidi explained a difficult math problem to the whole class. Even students who usually had trouble with math could understand when Chidi explained it. After school that day, Chief Ikemba took Chidi to his house. "You are teaching others," he said. "That's very good. When you help others learn, you become even smarter yourself." Years passed, and Chidi grew taller. His skin stayed rough and scaly, but he didn't mind anymore. People in the village had stopped treating him differently. They knew him as the smart boy who helped others with their schoolwork, not as the boy with lizard skin. When it was time for the big final exams in secondary school, Chidi studied harder than ever. He wanted to make Chief Ikemba proud. He stayed up late reading his books. His mother would bring him food while he studied. worried that he was working too hard. The day the exam results came out, the whole village was excited. Chidi had scored the highest marks in the whole state. Not just in one subject, but in all of them. His name was in the newspaper, and the governor even sent him a letter to say, "Well done." Universities started sending letters to Chidi. They all wanted him to come study at their school. Some even offered him extra money for being such a good student. Chidi spread all the letters on Chief Ikemba's big table, trying to decide which university to pick. "Which one should I choose?" he asked Chief Ikemba. "Which one has the best medical school?" Chief Ikemba asked. Chidi pointed to one letter. "This one, the University of Lagos. They have the best doctors and the newest equipment." "Then that's where you should go," Chief Ikemba said. "You want to be a doctor to help people with skin problems like yours, right?" "Yes," Chidi said. "I want to find out why my skin is like this. Maybe I can find a way to help other people who have skin problems too." Chief Ikemba smiled. "Then it's decided. I will pay for everything. Your school fees, your books, your room, and your food. You just focus on becoming the best doctor you can be." When Chidi told his parents about going to university, his mother cried happy tears. His father hugged him tight and said, "You have made us so proud, my son." The day Chidi left for university, the whole village came to say goodbye. Even Obi came. They weren't best friends, but they weren't enemies anymore either. "Don't forget us when you become a big doctor," Obi said. "I won't," Chidi promised. "I'll come back and help our village." As Chidi got into Chief Ikemba's car to leave for university, he looked back at his village. He saw the mango tree where he used to sit and learn. He saw his old school, where he had proved he was more than just his rough skin. He saw all the people who had learned to look past his scales and see who he really was. He wasn't scared about going to university. He knew that no matter what problems came his way, he could solve them. Just like Chief Ikemba had taught him, with his head and his heart. University was very different from Chidi's village school. There were hundreds of students from all over Nigeria. The buildings were tall, with many classrooms, and there was a big library filled with more books than Chidi had ever seen. At first, Chidi kept to himself. Even though he wasn't the only student with a skin condition anymore, he had seen 2 other students with different skin problems, he was still shy. He always sat in the front row of his classes and didn't talk to many people. That's when he met Amara. She was studying to become a nurse, and she shared some classes with the medical students. Amara was beautiful. Her skin was smooth and dark, and she always had a bright smile on her face. Unlike many other students, she didn't stare at Chidi's rough skin or move away when he was nearby. One day, Chidi was helping a group of students understand a hard lesson about human body parts. He was good at explaining things in a way that made them easy to understand. Amara was watching from nearby. After the study group finished, Amara walked up to him. "You're really good at teaching," she said. "I've seen how you help other students." Chidi looked down at his rough hands. "Thank you," he said quietly, waiting for her to walk away like most people did. But Amara didn't walk away. Instead, she sat down next to him. "I'm Amara," she said. "I've been wanting to talk to you for weeks. Would you like to study together sometime?" Chidi was surprised. No one at university had asked to study with him before. "Are you sure?" he asked. "Most people don't want to sit too close to me because of my skin." Amara smiled. "Well, most people are missing out on knowing a very kind person," she said. "I don't care what your skin looks like. I care that you're smart and that you help others." After that day, Chidi and Amara started studying together in the library. Amara was very good at remembering things about the human body, and Chidi was good at explaining difficult medical terms. They made a good team, but Chidi was always nervous. He kept thinking that one day Amara would realize she was too pretty to be friends with someone who looked like him. He worried that other students would make fun of her for spending time with the boy with rough skin. Weeks passed, and Amara kept coming to study with him. She even started eating lunch with him in the cafeteria. They talked about their families, their villages, and what they wanted to do after university. Amara wanted to work with sick children, and Chidi told her about his plan to help people with skin problems. One evening, they were studying late in the library. Not many other students were around. Amara looked tired from reading her big nursing book. Without thinking, Chidi offered her his water bottle. That's when something amazing happened. Amara reached out and touched his hand, his rough, scaly hand. She didn't pull away or make a face. She just held his hand and smiled. "Your skin doesn't scare me, Chidi," she said. "It's part of who you are, and I like who you are." Chidi couldn't believe what he was hearing. "But I'm different," he said. "People stare at me. They whisper about me." "Yes, you are different," Amara agreed. "You're different because you're kinder than anyone I know. You're different because you help others even when they've been mean to you. You're different because you're brave enough to follow your dreams even when things are hard." Tears filled Chidi's eyes. No one except his parents and Chief Ikemba had ever touched him on purpose before. No one had ever said such nice things about him. "Really?" he asked. "You don't mind being seen with me?" Amara squeezed his hand. "I'm proud to be seen with you, Chidi. You're going to be a great doctor someday, and I want to be there to see it happen." From that day on, Chidi and Amara were always together. They studied together, ate together, and walked to classes together. Some students still stared and whispered, but Chidi didn't care anymore. For the first time in his life, someone outside his family had chosen to be close to him, had chosen to see past his rough skin to the person he was inside. When Chidi wrote to Chief Ikemba about Amara, the chief wrote back right away. "Sometimes the best things in life come when we least expect them. This girl sees with her heart, not just her eyes. Those are the best kind of people to keep close to you." After Chidi and Amara became close friends, they did everything together at university. They ate breakfast in the cafeteria every morning. They walked to classes side by side. They studied in the library until it got dark. Many students started calling them the perfect team because they helped each other so much. Chief Ikemba was very happy when he heard about Amara. He even invited her to visit him during the school break. "Any friend of Chidi's is welcome in my house," he told her. Chief Ikemba had never married or had children of his own, so he treated Chidi like the son he never had. Chidi told Amara about his dream to build a special hospital. "I want to help people who have skin problems like mine," he said. "Many of them can't find doctors who understand what they're going through." "That's a wonderful idea," Amara said. "I want to work with sick children. Maybe we can work together at your hospital someday." But not everyone was happy about Chidi's success. Remember Obi from Chidi's old school? The boy who used to bully him and who fell in the river? Well, Obi was now at the same university. He was studying to become a teacher, but he wasn't doing very well in his classes. When Obi saw how well Chidi was doing and how pretty Amara was, he got very jealous. He started telling lies about Chidi to other students. "Did you know his skin problem is catching?" Obi would whisper to people in the cafeteria. "If you touch him, you might get it too." This wasn't true at all, but some students believed him. Obi didn't stop there. He told more lies. "I heard he made a deal with evil spirits to become so smart," he would say. Or, "He's just using Chief Ikemba's money to show off." Some students who didn't know Chidi well started believing these lies. They would move away when Chidi walked past. Some even stopped coming to the study groups he led. Amara noticed that fewer students were coming to Chidi for help. "Don't let Obi's lies hurt you," she told Chidi. "People who believe silly stories aren't worth our time." But Chidi could see that the rumors hurt Amara too. When they walked together, some girls would point at her and whisper, "Why does she hang out with the lizard boy?" they would say, not knowing Amara could hear them. One day, a group of students refused to sit at the same table as Chidi and Amara in the cafeteria. "We don't want to catch his skin problem," they said loudly. Amara stood up, angry. "That's not how skin conditions work," she said. "You're in medical school. You should know better than to believe such stupid lies." But the students just walked away, leaving their food behind. That evening, Chidi wrote a letter to Chief Ikemba about what was happening. The chief wrote back quickly. "Some people fear what they don't understand," he wrote. "The best way to fight fear is with knowledge. Show them who you really are, and the right people will stay by your side." Chief Ikemba was right. Even though some students believed Obi's lies, others didn't. The students who really knew Chidi, the ones he had helped with their studies, stood by him. They told others that Obi was lying, that Chidi was one of the kindest and smartest students at the university. The head of the medical school, Dr. Adebayo, also noticed what was happening. He called Chidi to his office one day. "Your test scores are the highest in your class," Dr. Adebayo said, "and I've seen how well you explain things to other students. Don't let anyone make you feel less worthy because of your skin. We need doctors like you. Doctors who know what it's like to be different, who can help patients others don't understand." Chidi left Dr. Adebayo's office feeling stronger. Yes, Obi's lies were hurting him. Yes, some students believed those lies. But Chidi had something Obi didn't have. Real friends who stood by him, teachers who believed in him, and a dream that was bigger than any bully's lies. Most importantly, he had Amara. She never doubted him, never believed the lies, and never left his side. "We're a team," she would say whenever he felt sad, and teams stick together. That's when Chidi realized something important. Sometimes the bad things people do to hurt you can show you who your real friends are. And one true friend like Amara was worth more than 100 people who believed in lies. Amara stayed right by Chidi's side through all the mean rumors. "Don't listen to people who believe these lies," she told him one day after class. But Chidi could see that the rumors hurt her too, especially when other students would move away from them in the cafeteria. One night, Chidi was working late in the university laboratory. He had special permission from his professors to use the lab after hours because he was doing important research on skin conditions. The lab was in the basement of the science building, and at night it was very quiet except for the soft hum of machines. Chidi was looking through his microscope when he heard something fall in the back of the room. At first, he thought it might be a rat. They sometimes came into the building at night. But then, he heard the sound of papers rustling. He turned around slowly and saw Obi trying to stuff Chidi's research papers into his backpack. The papers were important. They had all of Chidi's notes about different skin treatments he was testing. "Stop right there!" Chidi shouted, jumping up from his chair. "What do you think you're doing with my research?" Obi froze like a deer caught in headlights, but then his face turned angry. "You think you're so special," he spat out, still holding the papers. "You have everything, the best grades, the scholarship from Chief Ikemba, and even Amara. But you're still just Igwakala, the lizard boy." The old nickname still hurt Chidi's feelings, but he stood tall. "Put those papers down, Obi. They're important for my research." Instead of putting them down, Obi ran for the door, but Chidi was faster. He jumped in front of the door, blocking Obi's escape. Obi tried to push past him, but Chidi stood firm. "Move!" Obi yelled, trying to shove Chidi aside. "Not until you give back my papers," Chidi said calmly. They struggled by the door for a moment until the papers went flying everywhere, scattering across the floor. Both boys stopped and stared at the mess. "Look what you did," Obi accused. "What I did? You're the one who was trying to steal my work," Chidi shot back. Then he took a deep breath and asked, "Why are you doing this, Obi? I saved your life at the river. Why do you still hate me so much?" "I never asked you to save me," Obi shouted, his voice echoing in the empty lab. "Ever since that day, everyone talks about how great you are. Oh, look at brave Chidi. Look at smart Chidi. Look at kind Chidi. What about me? I used to be somebody before you came to school." For the first time, Chidi really looked at Obi and saw something new: fear. Obi wasn't just mean. He was scared of being forgotten, of not being important anymore. "Sit down," Chidi said, pointing to a chair. "Let's talk about this." At first, Obi looked like he might run away, but then he slowly sat down. They talked for hours that night. Chidi learned that Obi's parents always compared him to Chidi, asking why he couldn't get grades as good as that boy with the skin condition. It made Obi feel worthless. "I never tried to make you look bad," Chidi explained. "I just wanted to learn and make something of myself, even though I look different." "But everything seems so easy for you," Obi said. "It's not easy," Chidi replied. "I study really hard. I'm in this lab almost every night, trying to understand why some people have skin conditions like mine. Would you like to see what I'm working on?" To his surprise, Obi nodded. Chidi showed him the microscope and explained his research in simple terms. Obi actually seemed interested. As they picked up the scattered papers together, Obi suddenly said, "I'm sorry about trying to steal your work, and I'm sorry for all the mean things I've said over the years." "I accept your apology," Chidi said, "and I have an idea. Would you like me to help you with your studies? We could meet twice a week. Obi looked surprised, but then smiled slightly. Yeah, I'd like that. They didn't become best friends after that night, but things changed. Obi stopped spreading rumors about Chidi. Sometimes they even sat together in the library to study. When other students looked surprised to see them together, both Chidi and Obi just smiled. The next time Chidi saw Amara, he told her everything that had happened. "You're amazing," she said. "You turned an enemy into an ally just by being kind and understanding." "Sometimes people are mean because they're hurting inside," Chidi replied. "Once you understand that, it's easier to forgive them." Chief Ikemba was very proud when he heard how Chidi had handled things with Obi. When Chidi visited him to tell the story, the chief was sitting in his big leather chair in his study, just like he always did. "You handled that exactly right, my boy," he said, smiling. "You showed wisdom that most grown-ups don't have." But just a few weeks later, Chief Ikemba got sick. At first, it wasn't too bad, just a cough and feeling tired. But then, it got worse quickly. He couldn't get out of bed, couldn't eat much, and was getting weaker every day. The doctors from the big hospital in the city came to see him, but none of them could figure out what was wrong. Chidi was in his final year of medical school then. Every day after his classes, he would rush to Chief Ikemba's house to help take care of him. He would check the chief's temperature, make sure he was taking his medicine, and write down any new symptoms to tell the doctors. One day, Chidi noticed that Chief Ikemba's breathing was getting worse. He called the doctor right away, and they gave the chief some medicine to help him breathe better. That night, Chidi didn't go back to his dorm. He stayed in a chair next to Chief Ikemba's bed, watching over him and checking his breathing every hour. The next evening, something strange happened. Chief Ikemba, who had been very weak and quiet, suddenly seemed more awake. He looked at Chidi with clear eyes and said, "Come closer, my boy. I need to tell you something important." "You should rest," Chidi said, worried that talking would make the chief more tired. But Chief Ikemba shook his head. His hand was shaking as he reached out to hold Chidi's rough, scaly hand. "No, I must tell you this now. It's about your past, about who you really are." Chidi sat down on the edge of the bed, confused. "What do you mean?" Chief Ikemba took a deep breath. "Many years ago, I had a wife. She was beautiful and kind, just like your Amara. She got pregnant, and we were so happy. But..." He had to stop to catch his breath. "Take your time," Chidi said softly. "She died when the baby was born," Chief Ikemba continued. "The baby, my son, had a very unusual skin condition. It was like nothing anyone had ever seen before. The village people started whispering. They said it was a curse, that the gods were punishing me for being too proud." Chidi's heart started beating very fast. He looked down at his own scaly skin, then back at Chief Ikemba. "I was young then, and foolish," Chief Ikemba said. "I was scared of what people would say. There was a couple in the village who couldn't have children of their own. They were good people, farmers. I gave them the baby, along with money to take care of him." Tears were running down the old man's face now. "That baby?" Chidi's voice was barely a whisper. "Was it me?" Chief Ikemba nodded. "Yes, my son. You are my child. I've known it since that first day I saw you sitting under the mango tree at the school. You have your mother's brain. She was the smartest person I ever knew. And you have my family's courage." Chidi felt like the room was spinning. The farmers who had raised him, who he had always called Mom and Dad, they weren't his real parents? And Chief Ikemba, who had done so much for him, was actually his father? "Why didn't you tell me before?" Chidi asked. His voice wasn't angry, just confused. "At first, I was too ashamed," Chief Ikemba explained. "I had given you away because I was scared of what people would think. What kind of father does that make me? But when I saw you that day, I knew I had to help you, to try to make up for what I had done wrong." Chidi sat quiet for a long time, thinking. He remembered all the times Chief Ikemba had helped him, paying for his school, buying his books, encouraging him when things were hard. The chief had been trying to be a father all along, in his own way. "I forgive you," Chidi said finally. The words felt right in his mouth. "Father," Chief Ikemba smiled weakly. "I've already changed my will. he said. "Everything I own will be yours when I'm gone. My house, my businesses, my lands, they all belong to you. Use them wisely. Help other people with conditions like yours. And marry Amara. She's a good girl who loves you for who you are, just like your mother loved me." That night, Chief Ikemba, Chidi's real father, died peacefully in his sleep. Chidi was holding his hand when it happened. Even though he was sad, he was glad that he got to know the truth before his father died. The next morning, Chidi went to see the farmers who had raised him. They admitted that everything Chief Ikemba had said was true. "We couldn't have children of our own," his mother explained, crying. "When the chief brought you to us, it was the happiest day of our lives. We may not be your birth parents, but we have always loved you as our son." Chidi hugged them both. "You will always be my parents too," he said. "You raised me and loved me when others wouldn't. I just have more family now, that's all." When the news spread that Chidi was Chief Ikemba's son, many people were shocked. Some people who had been mean to him suddenly wanted to be his friend. But Chidi remembered who his true friends were. The people who had liked him even when he was just the lizard boy, not the chief's son. The news that Chidi was Chief Ikemba's son spread through the village and university like wildfire. It seemed like everyone was talking about it. People who used to cross the street to avoid Chidi now tried to stop him to chat. Students who had laughed at his scaly skin suddenly wanted to sit with him at lunch. "Hello, Chidi. I always knew there was something special about you," one market woman said, who just months ago had refused to let him touch her vegetables. "Chidi, my friend. Remember me from primary school?" said a man who had once called him Igwekala and thrown stones at him. But Chidi wasn't fooled by these sudden friendships. He remembered who his real friends were, the people who had been kind to him before they knew he was rich and powerful. He was especially grateful for Amara, who had loved him when he was just a poor boy with rough skin. Using the money he inherited from Chief Ikemba, Chidi started working on his dream. He bought a big piece of land just outside the village and began building a research center. It wasn't just any research center, it was special because it focused only on helping people with skin conditions. The building took 6 months to complete. It was painted white and blue, with big windows to let in lots of light. There were laboratories filled with the newest medical equipment, examination rooms where doctors could see patients, and even a small hospital wing where sick people could stay while they got treatment. Chidi invited some of the best doctors he knew to work with him. He even asked his old professors from medical school to join his team. Many of them said yes because they knew how smart and determined Chidi was. Amara worked at the center too. She was perfect for the job because she was so gentle with the patients. Many people who came to the center were like Chidi. They had spent their whole lives being avoided because of how their skin looked. Amara knew how to make them feel comfortable and cared for. "See how she talks to that little girl?" Chidi said to one of his doctors one day, watching Amara calm down a crying child who had painful red patches all over her skin. "That's what we need here. Not just medicine, but kindness too." The research center helped lots of people. Some had scaly skin like Chidi. Others had painful rashes or sores that wouldn't heal. Every patient got the best care possible, and nobody was turned away, even if they couldn't pay. 1 year after Chief Ikemba died, Chidi decided it was time to ask Amara to marry him. He thought carefully about where to do it. He could have taken her to an expensive restaurant in the city, or planned a fancy trip somewhere special. But instead, he chose the place where his life had changed. The old mango tree where Chief Ikemba had first found him, listening to school lessons. The tree was still there, its branches heavy with green mangoes. Chidi brought Amara there one evening, just as the sun was setting. "Why are we here?" Amara asked, looking curious. "This is where my life changed," Chidi explained. "This is where Chief Ikemba, my father, found me and gave me a chance to go to school. Without that moment, I might never have become a doctor. I might never have met you." Then Chidi took both of Amara's hands in his rough, scaly ones. He didn't kneel down, because that wasn't the custom in their village. But he looked straight into her eyes. "You saw me when other people looked away," he said. "You touched me when others were afraid. You loved me before you knew I was Chief Ikemba's son. You've helped me build this center and take care of our patients. Will you be my wife?" Amara's eyes filled with tears, but she was smiling. "Yes," she said. "Yes, I will marry you." They hugged under the mango tree, and a ripe mango fell right next to them with a soft thud. They both laughed, taking it as a sign of good luck. News of their engagement spread quickly. This time, when people came to congratulate them, Chidi could tell which ones were sincere. The same people who had supported him before, his adoptive parents, his true friends from school, his dedicated staff at the research center, were the ones who celebrated most joyfully. Even some of the patients at the center joined in the celebration. A little boy with scaly skin like Chidi's made him a card that said, "Thank you for showing me that I can be happy too." That night, as Chidi walked home, he looked up at the stars and thought about Chief Ikemba. He hoped his father could see how he was using his inheritance to help others. He wasn't just Chief Ikemba's son now, he was becoming his own kind of chief, leading the way to help people who, like him, looked different on the outside but had so much to give to the world. Chidi and Amara's wedding was the biggest celebration the village had seen in many years. People came from everywhere to see it. Some traveled for days just to be there. After all, it wasn't every day that the son of Chief Ikemba got married. The wedding preparations took over the whole village. Women cooked huge pots of jollof rice, pounded yam, and pepper soup. Men set up long tables and chairs under colorful tents. Children ran around helping to hang decorations and string lights in the trees. Chidi wore a beautiful blue agbada that his adoptive mother had specially made for him. The fabric was soft against his rough skin, and gold thread decorations sparkled in the sunlight. Amara wore a gorgeous white and gold dress that made her look like a queen. When she walked down the aisle, everyone gasped at how beautiful she was. Even Obi came to the wedding. He wasn't causing trouble anymore. In fact, he was studying to become a teacher now. When he gave Chidi and Amara their wedding gift, a beautiful hand-carved wooden box, he actually smiled and wished them happiness. During the ceremony, Chidi looked out at all the people gathered there. He saw his adoptive parents sitting in the front row, both of them crying happy tears. He saw his friends from university, his staff from the research center, and even some of his patients who had come to celebrate with him. Some of them had skin conditions like his, and they sat proudly in their fine clothes, no longer trying to hide. The party after the wedding lasted all day and into the night. There was lots of dancing, singing, and laughing. People kept coming up to congratulate the new couple. Many of them told Chidi how his success had given them hope. If a boy with scaly skin could become a doctor and marry such a beautiful woman, anything was possible.